Hi, good day. Hope that you're doing well. So in this video, we're going to be focusing on stem and leaf, right? Which is an important section under your statistics. Now, what is a stem and leaf diagram? Stem and leaf basically it's a diagram that is used to summarize your data set, right? So basically putting your data in its simplest form. All right. Now, what do they mean by your stem and what do they mean by your leaf? Now, what is your stem? Your stem is your leading coefficient. Now, what is the leading coefficient? The first value of your term. Basically, it's your stem. Now, when you're going to draw your stem and leaf diagram, right? So here, you're going to write your stem. And on the other side, this is where you would represent your leaf. Now, as I've said, your stem is the leading coefficient, right? Now, as a result, your leaf, it will be the preceding coefficient, meaning that the second coefficient would represent your leaf. Now, here your stem is a leading coefficient, and when you're going to represent it on your diagram, your stem is a leading coefficient, and you need to represent this information on your diagram, right? So basically here, what are the rules that you need to go about applying whenever you're drawing your stem and leaf diagram? Your stem, right? You do not repeat a value. So here repetition is not allowed. It's not allowed. But with regards to your leaf, you can repeat a value. So here, let me represent my stems, right? As I've said, my stem is my leading coefficient and my leaf is my following or trailing values. Basically, these values which come after your stem. Now, my stem, if I were to represent my leading coefficients here, I could say I have 1. And remember, repetition is not allowed. I'm going to put 1. I have 2, right, which represents the 20s. I have 3, which represents the 30s. I have 4, which represents the 40s, and 5, which represent the 50. Now, your leaf, as I've said, repetition is allowed, right? So here, we're going to focus on our stem 1. Now, you can also try to think this in terms of a tree. This is your stem, and your leaves are going to grow on your stem, right? This is where your leaves grow. They grow on your stem. Now, what are those leaves that grow on the stem 1, to be specific? We have 2, right? Right, because on the first value, it's 12. We have 2, we have 4, and we have 5. Right now, doing the same for my second stem, which is 2. What are those leaves which grow on my 2 stem? So I'm going to focus on my 20s. I have 22 here, meaning that the first leaf, it will be 2. I have 4, and I have another 4, because my 24s, they are 2. All right. Now, doing the same for my 3, I'm going to focus on my 30s. I have 35. And let's say they gave you this data set, right? Maybe like they didn't arrange it in ascending order, just like they did here. So your first step would be to arrange it in ascending order from smallest to biggest. Then you can go about drawing your stem and leaf diagram. So for our 30s, I have 35, I have 36, 36, as well as 37, right? So I have 2 6s and I have 37. Now for my 40s, I have 47 as well as 49. So my leaves for 4 are going to be 7 and 9. And for my 50, it's 0. Right? And this would be your complete stem and leaf diagram. Now, basically, how can you interpret this diagram? This diagram simplifies these values, right? And how? What do I mean by that? So, for example, look at your stem, which is 1. It simply shows you that, okay, you have 12, you have 14, you have 15. Now, for your second stem, which is 2, it simply shows you that your 20 values are 22, 24, as well as 24. For your 30 values, you have 35, 36, 36, as well as 37. For your 40, you have 47, you have 49, and for your 50, you have 50, right, alone. So basically, this simplifies your data set, right? And hopefully that makes sense. Remember, if ever you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. Thanks.